Hello, everyone. Let me find you guys in my Facebook feed, since I should have done that before I went live. But what else is new? There I am. All right. Hi, Myrna. How are you today? Hello, Tanya and Julianne and Alice. Hi, Tiffany. So, we are going to start this project today, and I just want to make sure that I am high enough that you can see. Hopefully that's going to work. I'm sure Tanya will tell me if I need to only have the banner up there for a couple of seconds so you can see the dimensions. I did put the dimensions in the description, or when I said last night that I was going live today, I put them in the notes there or in that description box. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so this is what we're making today. And if you haven't seen it, go back and look at the walkthrough I did yesterday, because it takes up a lot of space and I want to try and keep this to a reasonable amount of time, not that it goes on and on forever. So it's an album in a box with a little bit of a twist. So there's the top, it opens and it opens, and all your pages are like this. So like you're flipping like file folders. And those are your pages. There's 7 of them. So all we're going to do today is actually construct the box. So I am going to put this aside and we are going to get started. So I gave you some dimensions to cut out in the chipboard. So I'm kind of hoping you did. The first piece of chipboard we're going to need is a piece of chipboard that measures, one moment please, since I have my stuff in a different order, it appears. What else is new? Wouldn't be a tutorial without that happening. So first piece of chipboard measures 4.5 by 6.5. I'm just going to go through the measurements for the chipboard and then we'll go back and we'll get started. There's 2 bottom sides. You need 2 that measure 4.5 by 4.5. And then and this is all for the box, so the bottom of it. And then you need 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 4.5 by 6.5. Hi, Janice. I hear you're home and it's snowed or something, or it's cold at your house. And the top chipboard measures, so this is for the top of the box. The chipboard measures, I think I need to move on. I was so organized. So there's the bottom sides at 4.5 by 4.5. And then the box top. And the top, the very top of the mat box, it measures 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. And then we need one side that measures, oh, freezing snow. No. I won't tell you how nice it is at my house. It is, no, I won't tell you. So we have one piece that measures 1.5 by 6 5/8. Hi, Kim. And then we have 2 that measure 1.5 by 4 5/8. And I believe that will be my next measurement. Let me just see where I'm at here. All right. So, and then we have a bunch of cardstock we're going to need. So I kind of wrote the same thing that you're going to see over on the screen as I did Turn my stuff sideways as I did on the chipboard. Just want to make sure I don't mess everything up. So you're going to need so we're going back to the beginning of all of this. So we're going to talk about the bottom of the box first. And this says cardstock. Yes, there it is. So this is all for the bottom of the box. And we need one that measures 6.5 by 8.5. We need one that measures, or two that measure, I should say, 6.5. Okay, we got something out of order here. Sorry. Here it is. Two that measure 6.5 by 8.5. Yes, actually I do, Myrna, because I counted them last night when I was cutting it. It took me 16 sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock to make this entire project. So that is the box, the hinges, and the pages that are in the box. So we need two for the sides. And then we also need two that measure 6.5 by 8.5 for the sides. And then we move on to the box top, and we have one that measures 6 5/8. Now remember that 5/8 is just that little mark past, or maybe it's two marks depending on your ruler, past the 1/2 inch. So 6 5/8 by 8 5/8. And then for the sides of the top of the box, we need one that measures 3.5 by 8.5. And then we have two that measure 3.5 by 6 5/8. So that is all the cardstock and chipboard that we need to do today's project. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. And we're going to get started so that this doesn't take us forever, like I promised. Put a couple things back in the order I want to use them in. So that first piece, hi Diane. But I'm going to take it down now, Tiffany, the measurements, because I want you to be able to see my scoreboard. And we rolled through them, and hopefully if anybody's got questions about them, I will have the piece of paper in front of me and we will be able to see them. So I believe if I do this, yes, then that gives you a better view of the screen. So the first piece of cardstock I want you to get out is that one that measured 6.5 by 8.5. And I am using my spacers. So as I said to you before, or yesterday when I did the walkthrough, this is almost exactly the way Tammy wraps her cardstock for an album cover. The only thing is we are not going to fold one side over, and you're going to see as we go along what I'm talking about. And I'm probably going to be referring back to the box so I don't make a huge oops someplace. So we need the 6.5 by 8.5 cardstock, excuse me, and we need the 4.5 by 6.5 box bottom chipboard. And just to speed things up, I put adhesive on the back of my chipboard already. I have a frog, so let me deal with that. That should help. I did put adhesive on the back of my chipboard. So, and I burnished it. You could use your art glitter glue on the back of the chipboard. As a matter of fact, I almost exclusively used art glitter glue in this project, except for this one step. So we're just going to line it up, push it up, and what we want is an inch at the top and an inch down one side, And because we cut our cardstock that 1 inch bigger all the way around, I guess is how I want to say it, that's why we can get it in the center. And of course, the spacers really help. So literally, it's just, this is going to get boring because we got to do all these pieces. It's literally making the cover. We're doing exactly the same things that we do when we make the cover. So if somebody hasn't already made one of Tammy's covers or one of my covers, or I don't know who else on the design team uses. I think Jennifer uses Tammy's method of wrapping. I know I do. Kim, do you use that same method of wrapping, or do you use a different method? A lot of us do. I think Anne-Marie uses it. So again, all we're going to do is we're going to cut the bulk out of the corners. Like so. And I usually just cut on that line. And we'll just set them aside. There's going to be lots of little pieces everywhere. If I didn't say hello to you, it's just because I missed you as you were coming in, and I'll say hello to everyone again so that I don't miss anybody. And the last corner. So I know Tanya got snow. Did anybody else get that snow or get snow? So now we just want to miter our tabs, our 1 inch tabs. Like so. And then repeat. And repeat. Do the other end. Hi, Rhonda. Oh, Debbie, it's okay. It's going to stay recorded. All I was doing at the beginning was giving measurements for the chipboard and the cardstock. And if you look back in the post I made last night, you can find all those measurements. I know, Tiffany, because I'm north and east of where you are, only in Canada, and it's gorgeous here today. It's going to be a record temperature here today. So this is what we left with, like so. And I'm just looking at what I've got. So this is the bottom. So all we're going to do on this one is we're going to fold over the two short sides and one of the long sides and leave this open. Great. That's good, Debbie. So I am using a brand new bottle of art glitter glue. At least it's a brand new bottle that I'm opening. And I noticed it was a little runny. And if I tell you when I got this bottle when we were in Vermont in 2019. So I'm hoping it's going to be fine. It was when I tried it on a piece of paper. It's a little watery, but I'm sure as it mixes, it'll be fine. And I know it wasn't cold. It's probably just because it sat. So we're probably going to need my wet ones a ton today. See, I have a little bit of a hangover here because that wasn't mitered, but what else is new? The project that Bonnie's doing. There we go. That's the joys of using Artisan. And for my original, I did use the Artisan black, but I thought for this tutorial, I would use the Artisan craft. So like so, give it a good burnish. Like I say, it's just like making our album covers if you use Tammy's method. Hello, Marianne. Nice to see you. So we're making an album in a box today with a little variation. because I know some people struggle with the binding strips. And so I thought, hi, Nicole. So I thought I'd come up with another idea. And it's probably not an original. I'm sure somebody's already thought of this. But it's what I decided to do because I wanted this project not to revolve so much around St. Patrick's Day as to revolve around, maybe this could be that box that you put all those old recipes in that you got from your grandma or your mom. Or maybe it could be a box for, family pictures go, and then you want it sitting out. So that's as far as we're going to take this piece right now. We're just going to fold over those 3 sides and set it aside. And we know it's the box bottom because that's why I wrote on everything. So now I want to move on to the sides. So we need 6.5 by 8.5 for the cardstock. And for the chipboard, it was 4.5 by 4.5. And I will try to repeat those measurements as I do each piece. And remove the backing off of my adhesive. And like I said before, I burnished it and did all of that before the live. So remove these. Give it a good burnish. I can't remember if I burnished this one, so let's burnish it now. All right, and then we're going to do exactly the same thing. Folding it all over. And again, because I'm using the Artisan, I know I can be quite, what's the word I want to use? Forceful with my burnishing. Because it very rarely cracks, if ever. So again, we're just going to rinse and repeat here. Cut up to the chipboard. And cut out the square on all 4 corners. And number 3. So who's working with me and who's just watching? And now we're going to miter. So just fold that cardstock over the chipboard and give it a miter and repeat. We'll see if I get them all done this time. Usually I forget one. But that is the nice thing about the art glitter glue is you can lift it up. Of course, that's probably a combination of the art glitter glue and the Artisan cardstock. Watching. Hi, Rhonda, if I didn't say hi before. Sometimes it's better just to watch me because I am notorious for mistakes, typos. I get carried away and I type the wrong measurement or something. So again, so like this piece doesn't matter so much because it's 4.5 by 4.5. It's a square. So we're just going to decide one of our sides. We are going to do exactly the same as we did with the box bottom. I am just going to start and work my way around. Hopefully I'll remember to stop before I do the last side. And get my little tool, pull it over. Give it a good burnish. And turn. My adhesive. I've never worked with a 4-ounce bottle of the, whoops. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do the other end first of this one. Never used a 4-ounce bottle, and I'm not sure if I like it or I don't like it. It's a little awkward in my hand, but I will get used to it, I'm sure. Hi, Debbie. How are you? And then we'll just quickly do this one before it dries. Hopefully it didn't dry. There we go. All right, there's one of the bottom sides done. Let's get the other one so it is exactly. You know what, Marianne? That's what I like to do too, is watch, then go and do the actual project. So again, the cardstock is 6.5 by 8.5. The chipboard is 4.5 by 4.5. And we need to have two sides, of course, to the box bottom. So again, put our spacers in. And keep going. So my husband is over in the orchard helping a friend of ours. We have somebody arriving at our house, so I'm hoping when he sees my office door closed, he doesn't decide he's going to come in and talk to me. But if he does, I'll just put you guys on mute for a second. So let's burnish the back. Because even when I do live, life still continues in my house, unfortunately. And again, we want to do this to all four sides. So by the time we're done wrapping all these pieces, you guys are going to be pros at this wrapping method. And again, we want to miter or cut out our corners or squares. So now when I did my black project or my black box for the project for the Ireland Forever, I didn't have black chipboard. So all I did, and I'll show you here in a second, is on these edges that you might see, I just used a black Sharpie and colored the chipboard. And I had somebody last night on the Zoom asking me, or we got talking about they were going to use a light color. And I suggested that they paint the chipboard with like white acrylic paint, just as a way to hide the little bit of raw edge that you might see when you're butting these things up to the other piece of chipboard. So like in this case, this piece is going to go like this, which I know right now doesn't make a lot of sense when I'm laying it on top of stuff. So it's just to cover up the raw edge of the chipboard. So if you paint it, use a Sharpie. With the craft, I'm not going to worry about it because I don't think I'm going to see anything. If I change my mind and think I am going to see something, I will just go back and do it. Of course, you couldn't use paint at that point in time, but I've got a whole drawer of Sharpie markers, so I'm sure I could find a color. Yes, Myrna. Yes, yeah, that would be that's awesome. It's just to cover the raw edge. And if you do it before you start it to wrap, that's just going to make your life less stressful. Okay, so let's get these out of our way. Turn it over. And again, I'm going to do two sides and then do just one of the other sides. Oops. So that's my little tip about how to get away with using chipboard. You don't want to see that raw edge, paint it. And turn it. My hands are dry, so of course the baby wipe sticks to my hands. Give it a good burnish. And let's do one last side for this one. I do try to write on my art glitter glue when I get it, so that I try to use up the oldest first. And I did really well this winter. I managed to keep my supply all winter with what I had, which was kind of nice. So there's the third bottom. Now, we need to do the sides of the bottom of the box. So you need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 6.5 by 8.5. And our chipboard measures 4.5 by 6.5. So let's put in our wonderful little spacers. And remember, we're going to leave one side at this point in time not wrapped. We may, depending on where each one of these ends up, wrapping that last side, but at this point in time, we're just going to wrap and fold over and adhere 3 sides on each of these pieces. Because I'm sure that as we progress, I am going to do something a little different than I did with the first one. Because that's what happens when I'm doing a live. You get to see it as it is. And cut. So again, we're just cutting almost up to the chipboard. I'm going to say I kind of stay back about a 1/16 of an inch. Like so. And the last one. And then we want a miter. Repeat on the other corner. And the last one. So we're going to do part 2 of this next Friday. And I'm probably going to say it's going to end up being the same time of day, like 1 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. I'll know better as my week progresses. We're going to do the 2 short sides. And I just need to make something pause. So hopefully you're not going to hear what's going to happen next. So we have a Roomba, and it vacuums every day for me, which is great because my back can't handle vacuuming anymore. But when it goes back to its charging base, it self-cleans, and it sounds like an airplane taking off. So I have the doors closed to my office, so hopefully we don't hear that noise. And I love my Roomba because it means that I have my floors vacuumed, because we have a cat that lives in our house, and we have dogs that come into the house because we have dogs too. And this way it takes care of all that mess from the cat hair and dog hair and what we track in. And over. like I say, it's just repetitive, but we're halfway there, which is good. Well, not quite, but close enough. After this piece, we're halfway there. You know what? I think I'd like the mop one too, Jennifer. Don't know if that one is available in Canada. You know what? I wasn't sure about it, Tiffany. I sat on the fence forever about these silly things because my husband, we had one when I was still working, and my husband would put up chairs and he had boards so it couldn't go to certain parts of the house. And my attitude was, well, what is the point of that? Like, if it's not going to just do it on its own, what's the point? So eventually its battery died. And, you know, we hemmed and hawed, are we going to replace the battery? And I said, well, if it takes all that for me to be able to vacuum with it, I might as well just keep using my Swiffer. And then I saw this one that self-cleaned, and I went, oh, that's sweet. And then I saw that it also, you could program it that it would vacuum at the same time every day. And we didn't go high end. We didn't get the most expensive one. I think we probably got the cheapest one. And so this one is programmable, so it comes on every day at the same time. But because of, I don't know, I didn't think we had a big house, but because of the size of our house, it can't do the whole thing on one charge. So it takes itself back to the base, hardly gets stuck on anything. I don't move a thing. And it is learning, and it was Tammy that actually said this, it will learn to avoid things. It is. Best thing ever. Maybe Roomba will give CCC some points or something for advertising for them. And I love to vacuum. Believe it or not, I love to vacuum. But now, I hurt my back a few years ago, and now since I did that, vacuuming is no fun. It's quite a painful experience. And we've only had it 3 weeks now, 2 weeks. No, I guess 3 weeks. Say what? I don't know what that means. Or are you asking? You know what? I don't know, Debbie, if there's a model. I think I would just do your due diligence and do some research and see. But like I say, for me, the two features that I love about it is the fact that you can program it and it cleans itself into just like a vacuum bag, a vacuum cleaner bag. So, hi, Jan. So glad you could join us. Oh, that I love vacuuming. Yes, I was very strange. So when my husband and I first got married, of course, we had no children at that point in time. And I would work all day. He would work all day. So we weren't home every day. I came home and I vacuumed my house. I know. I'm nuts. And in the summertime, my husband would be sitting out on our deck. And of course, we lived in a neighborhood of all young families. Well, most of us didn't even have kids at that point in time. And the neighbors would say to my husband, oh, Bonnie's vacuuming? Like, yep, I vacuumed every day. Yes, and then we had children. Didn't vacuum as much. And then I hurt my back, and this isn't fun anymore. So there is the bottom. We have all our bottom pieces wrapped. Yeah, I was a little crazy for sure, Tiffany. I'm not so crazy as I was then. I've learned that there's other things I would prefer to do, like, as I call it, play with pretty paper. There we go. So there is the last of the bottom pieces. No, we're just going to wrap our top ones too at the same time. So we'll keep our assembly line going. So you need the piece of cardstock that measured 6 5/8 by 8 5/8. Put my spacers in here. And the piece of chipboard that measured 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. No, don't take those away yet, Bonnie. You know what? When I was working, so I had two careers. I had a career before our children, and then I ended up with a second career after we had our children. And I was in Canada, or in the province I live in, Canada, you're called an early childhood educator. So I taught preschool with that. And then I decided, let's open an out of school program. Well, I worked some really, really long days back in the day. And let's just say my house suffered because my dear husband, he did an amazing job at being chief cook and bottle washer. I cannot say enough about those years because he was home. But yeah, that taught me that, you know what, housework isn't everything. Hi, Tina. That's okay. This will stay recorded. We're just doing a lot of wrapping right now because, like I said in the walkthrough yesterday, there is quite a bit of wrapping we needed to do. So again, we're going to just repeat what we did for the bottom of the box. We're going to fold over the two short sides and one of the long sides, but we may also fold over the other one. It'll just sort of depend on which way I'm planning to go with the hinge, or how we're going to attach these things together. And it's kind of one of those things that you're just going to do it as you go. And it'll make sense once we start adhering our pieces together. And like I say, you could make this box with the traditional binding system. There's lots of ways to create a box. You could probably make this box and use cardstock, and then just add a piece of chipboard, wrapped chipboard to the top and the bottom, or even to the sides. But it's what you like to do. And I was just looking for a different way to make a box. I could have made this the same way I made the salutation card box that I did a couple of weeks ago. But I was just kind of going, how else could I wrap one of these boxes? Or make a box. So I would suggest you make your box the way you like to make it. If you're going to use cardstock, measurements might have to be adjusted for your chipboard. I'm just not sure. And again, maybe not enough glue there. We'll see. There we go. Just needs to be burnished. Like if any of you have watched some of my other tutorials, you know I was still the adhesive person with the wrapping, that I would put the adhesive. So let me just stop that for a second. So the top side that measures 3.5 by 8 5/8, that's the cardstock. And then the chipboard, it's going to measure 1.5 by 6 5/8. So yes, I was the person that, you know, I put the dry adhesive on the back. Get rid of this. There we go. I put the dry adhesive on the back of the chipboard. I'd lay my chipboard down. I'm going to have to go back and burnish some pieces too. You know, I would lay my chipboard down, and then I would run adhesive all the way around the edges. This is the dry adhesive all the way around the edge of the chipboard and cardstock. And then when I was making this box, I went, you got to do this a little faster. This is going to take you forever. And I went, you know what? It's time to try something different. And this is what I came up with. And you know what? Learning and changing is okay. Oh, Blake. No, actually, I know who it is. Heather, you made it. Nice. It's all going to stay recorded. I'm still wrapping my chipboard. And like I said before, you just kind of go up to a 1/16 of an inch away from that corner of your chipboard. Repeating it on all 4 corners. And again. Did you just get home? Yeah. Sorry, I looked up and I thought it was a new comment, Heather. Oh, I guess it was. Well, I'm glad you're home. And again, we're going to miter our tabs, our 1-inch tabs. Ah, that was nice of him. Oh, did he want mashed taters and gravy? Don't think so. Oh, they gave him. Oh, that's not okay. That's wrong. If he ordered mac and cheese and they gave him mashed potatoes and gravy, no, wouldn't be happy with that either. So there's all the mitering of that piece. So with this piece, it's going to be one of these longer sides that we're going to be adhering to the rest of the box. So we're going to start with the 2 short sides. Well, yes, I can understand, Heather. I would want mac and cheese too. Actually, my husband loves mac and cheese if it's made from scratch, as I call it. It's kind of like one of those comfort foods. Oh, Wendy, I didn't see you come in. Nice to you to join us. Sometimes if I'm busy working, I miss people joining us. So if I haven't said hello, please excuse that. Oh, your engine went on your card, Heather? Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. So now we're going to just do one of the long sides. Again, and like I say, we're going to go back at the very end and burnish all of these pieces on the dry adhesive side. So there's that one. All right. We're down to the last 2 pieces. Can you believe this? And we've done that in 40, well, probably by the time we'll be at 50 minutes in. So you need a piece of cardstock that measures 3.5 by 6 5/8. And 6 5/8 is, if you're on your scoreboard, it's the little tick just past the 1/2 inch. And in your cutter, it could be like 2 ticks past the 1/2 inch. You'll just have to know where it is on your cutter. But if you want an easy way to do it, if you're unsure of the 8s, let me just get something to show it with. So this is 6. So 6 and 5/8 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would get you to the 5/8. That's my little, one of my little handy tricks for today. I just dropped it on the floor. You guys gonna start this again? Well, I don't think I have an accent, but you guys tell me I do, and I accept that. So there's our piece of chipboard that was 1.5 by 4 and 5/8. I think that's pretty funny. Every time you guys tell me I have an accent, I always go, really? No, I don't think I have an accent. And then the other way. And the last way. I know, Janice, you don't have an accent. I don't know what they're talking about. Exactly. So Janice and I have known each other. I don't know how long have we known each other now, Janice? A couple of years. And we met through CCC. And we both were on the cruise that Tammy did a year and a half ago now. And for those of you that may not know me, I do like the odd glass of white wine. Janice and I shared some wine. Really? We sound the same? Jan? Your son's mother-in-law? Or is it just because of the way I talk? Because I am originally from Ontario in Canada, so that's a province that's, let me see, so 1, 2, it's 4 provinces over, and so our provinces are huge. Thanks, Nicole. I'm glad. See, Janice, we don't have any accent. Nicole says so. Boone's Farm? What kind of wine does Boone's Farm make? Because I live in wine country. Oh, there you go, Jen. I do recall we drank a few glasses of wine, and finally I had to say to Janice, "Okay, Janice, I can't anymore." And I had actually had a few things called spritzers. So if you're a wine drinker, you know that's watered down wine because it's mixed with club soda. As Janice kept drinking it straight. No, you don't, Tanya. You really don't. So it's just perception. So there, the corners are all mitered. And so what we're going to do is we're going to. Oh, okay. Well, then I might not prefer that kind of wine because, like I say, I live in a region that's it's wine country. So we have some very good wines here. And if you've never tried any wines, I don't even know if you ever get the chance to try wine from the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia, give it a try. It's amazing because we have really, really hot, dry summers. Oh, no, no, Blake. No passing out in cornfields. No. That's too dangerous. What happens if the tractor comes along and wants to cut the corn down? And there's probably a proper way to say that. My lack of farming knowledge is showing there. Okay, well, I did not know that. So there's one more piece done, and we're on the last piece of chipboard. Dandelion, Tina, my grandmother used to make dandelion wine. So you need another piece of cardstock, measures 3.5 by 6 5/8, and the piece of chipboard is 1.5 by 4 5/8. How did we get talking about wine? Anyway, yes, my grandmother made dandelion wine. I was never old enough to try it, but by what I understand, it was very potent, and people loved it. And my grandmother, I don't think, ever drank. You know what? I've heard that said before, Donna, that I sound like I'm from the East Coast. And whether it's because we moved, so my husband and I both were born and raised in Ontario. Then with his job, we were transferred to, hello, is it Celeste? Hopefully I've said that right. We were transferred to Manitoba. Yes, Manitoba, and stayed there for 7 years. Yes, it was cold, but then you're from Saskatchewan, Donna, so I think you would understand that cold. I think, Tina, you would want to try just a little bit of dandelion wine. That's what I think. And then 35 years ago, with my husband's job, we ended up moving to British Columbia and live in the Okanagan Valley. So, Celeste, you're from Winnipeg? See, there's a few Canadians on here today. Awesome. Not that I don't like my American friends. I love you all. But it's so nice to, have people that when I talk about Winnipeg, they know where I'm talking about. Or it's just like when you guys talk about some of the places in the States, I have to go look at a map to know what we're talking about. Or I'll say to my American friends, I'll say, a Canadian question. No, actually they weren't. My family actually, most of my family still lives in Ontario. I was the only rebel that moved away. And I moved away because, well, there wasn't a lot of opportunities in the city where we grew up. And my future husband said to me, if we get married, we're not staying here. So he was really nice about it. I knew ahead of time. Yes, Jan. And yeah, he ended up with a government job. So we first were in Ottawa. So if you know anything about Canada, that's the capital. Stratford, yes, that's not, well, it's probably 5 or 6 hours from where I grew up, because I grew up in a place called North Bay, and my husband grew up in a place called Sudbury. Anyway, so he ended up working for the government. We were then had to go to Ottawa because he had to do some training before, because he was hired right out of university. And then they gave him his first position in Winnipeg. And made very good friends there. And then, like I say, 35 years ago, he came home from work one day and said, what do you think about moving to the Okanagan in BC? And I said, that's where they grow apples. I said, sure, why not? Because we were outgrowing our house, because we had one child already. And then proceeded to have difficulty selling our house. In the meantime, he had to come and work out here. And just before he left, we found out I was pregnant. I am very close to Kelowna, Donna. So I am about an hour, probably an hour and 20 minutes from downtown Kelowna. I'm just south of a town called Penticton. in a very small little community called Okanagan Falls. So now you know a lot about where I live. And that picture that I have on my Facebook group is about, I walk 5 minutes from my house, and that is the view I get. Oh, yeah, I certainly can. I certainly can. Thank you. Thank you for because yes, I tend to start working lower, especially if I get talking. All right, so now we've got all those pieces wrapped. So we're going to put this little tool away. I don't think I'm going to need the scissors anymore. We are going to need the glue. So I just want to go back and burnish it. Yes, if I can't get rid of that because StreamYard insists that you have to have a banner. Oh, by the subtitles. I don't know how to get rid of the subtitles either. Wonder if it's over here. Just give me a second and let me see, because we don't need subtitles, do we? No, without me stopping it and trying to do that, I will try to keep working up nice and high. No, actually the other direction, so south of Kelowna. Like I am in the heart of orchard country and wine country. Click on settings and shut them off in StreamYard, Janice, because I'm in Chrome. Settings. Give me 1 second and I'll see if I can find them. Not there. You know what? We're going to try and make this work, okay? Oh, is that what it is, Janice? Okay. Because I have my sound off on my iPad, and that's what I'm reading your comments off of. I know. I think that we die. Like where we are now, it's gorgeous. Yes, it is, Noreen. It is quite expensive to ship to Canada. Ah, okay. So Janice is saying that if you go to the cogwheel, what did you say, Janice? Yes, there is a cogwheel that is actually settings, and everyone can shut them off on their own computer. Thank you, Janice, because I was going, I don't know how to shut off the subtitles. Good. Okay, glad you could shut them off there, Heather. There we go. All right, we solved our problem with the subtitles. As long as, because if I could move it just a little bit closer to me, that would become nice. All right, so this is the bottom of the box. And what we are going to be doing is we are going to be attaching one of the pieces that are 4.5 by 4.5 to one side, and one of the pieces that is 4.5 by 4.5 to the other side. So in order to prepare for that, I like to take my burnishing tool and just burnish. So I'm on the right side of my chipboard that has been covered. I think it is, Tina. So I'm just burnishing my cardstock, and I'm burnishing it right along the edge of the chipboard. So now I have to concentrate on what I'm doing. And we're going to repeat on the other 4.5 by 4.5 piece of chipboard that we wrapped. So this is just like when we make an album cover. We want to make sure that we have very good coverage, and we want to, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adhering it like so. So we are going to, nope, I am going to use my dry adhesive here. See, I told you an untruth and I apologize. I'm still going to use my dry adhesive for my tabs, just because that's what I have to use. More because I don't trust my gluing that I will get enough coverage. It might work, but I'm just not going to take that chance. Yes, Heather, children, they do think we're deaf sometimes. Like I used to say in the preschool room, I see everything. And they would say, even when your back is turned, Miss Bonnie? And I would say, yes, I have eyes in the back of my head. I don't know about that, Jen. I I think that is something you'd need to talk to Tammy about if you wanted to have something shipped to Canada, because I know it's not cheap. So here's the 4.5 by 4.5. Here's the box bottom. I'm on the short side, and we're just going to be attaching it like so. So I am going to need my little pick. See, I put it away, and then I needed it. And I am using my scoreboard as a tool. So I'm going to move this down a little bit. I have butt my 4.5 by 4.5 right up into the corner. I'm taking the bottom of my box and I'm tilting it. So again, this is just like we do when we are making, and I laid it down, an album. So you end up with this. And I'm going to burnish it. Burnishing is the key. Then I'm going to turn it around and we're going to do the other side. So I'm going to flip this back over for a second. I need to put, so remember, we're putting our adhesive on the good side. So this is the 4.5 by 4.5 piece of chipboard that's been wrapped in the cardstock. And I am putting my adhesive on the tab on the good side. So on the top of it, not on the inside. So we're just going to add some adhesive. And the other thing why I tend to go to for the dry adhesive for this part of the production is because I don't like the look if there's any glue that oozes out, or it's me. So if you've been able to do it using glue when you make an album, do that for this. But like I say, for me, I end up with a hot mess. Got sticky tape all over me. Okay, burnish your adhesive. Turn over. And again, we're just going to butt it up to the top this time. No, I got to work this way. I need this piece butted into the corner. Now, the only thing this time is you do have this 1-inch tab that's sticking out. So you sort of got to play it by ear and make sure you're up tight into at the top of your scoreboard. And if you are and you're happy, then you can remove the adhesive. And again, what I do is I just kind of have this huge piece, or the bottom piece, lifted up. Just don't lay it down. And make sure I'm going to be happy with everything, and then I drop it. And hopefully my head, it got in there a little bit. I apologize. I give it a good burnish. And then there's what you've got so far. You've got the two sides for the bottom of the box already attached. So the next one we're going to work on is we need a piece of the chipboard that we've wrapped. So we have two of these still, and they measure 4.5 by 6.5. We need one of those. And we are going to be adhering that to this side of the bottom of the box. So this is the side with the tab on it. This is the side without a tab. So we're attaching this piece of chipboard with its tab to this side of the box bottom. So I hope that's making sense. If it's not, type it in big capital letters. Can you say that again? So I'm doing the same thing. I am burnishing my cardstock. And because I'm using Artisan, I know I can burnish it like this and everything will be fine. I won't crack it. Then I am taking my dry adhesive, and I believe I'm using 3/8. You can use whatever you happen to have. Or, like I said before, you can use liquid glue if that works for you. But I just find it works better for me if I just use the dry adhesive. I forgot this part when I told you earlier. Oh no, I pretty much, this was all the dry adhesive I used. So now let's do some cutting of our overhang of our dry adhesive. Get rid of that. That's why I like my Teflon scissors, because if the tape sticks to them, I can get it off. Thanks, Jan. I try. I really do, because that's what I struggled with before I was doing tutorials. When I would listen to somebody teach a tutorial, I'd go, okay, is that making, do I understand that correctly? So I really try and let you guys get each step of this procedure. So we're going to put the piece we're working with. Now this time we're not going to butt it up to the top. I'm going to butt it up to like the 2-inch line on my scoreboard. And then when I'm laying down my big piece, so my bottom of my box with the two side flaps, as I'm laying it down, what I'm watching is that it is also on that 2-inch line. And when I think I'm happy, then I will drop it after I take the adhesive off. And like I said at the beginning of this is just one of a million different ways to make a box. If somebody hasn't thought of this already, I'm sure somebody's going to think of a way to do this that's even better than this way, because I'll see. Oh, you know what, Heather? Tammy would never. No, no, no. She tries to answer everybody's question. All right, so this is what we've got. So there is the bottom of the box. I'm going to flip it over. So this is the inside. There's our two sides. There's the front of the box. And now what we're going to work on is we're going to work on this piece that forms this side of the box. Only we want it like this. It's going to be like this to form this side of the box. So again, we're going to give this a good burnish. Well, Heather, you can always send me a friend request, or I think you can message me. I think you can. Please message me if it's about my folio from the bee retreat. Please, please, please. I'd be more than happy to try and help you. That's what I signed up for. When you do a project. But I'm pretty sure you can message me and not be my friend. But I don't know that for sure. Oh, okay. Sorry you're in Facebook jail. So burnish down that adhesive. I just put this on the wrong side, so this will be okay. Oh, no, I didn't. Yes, I did. Oh, well, see, I shouldn't have been talking. It's all right. This is going to be fine. This is going to be just fine. Because watch what we're going to do here. Get this off my fingers first. So remember I said we might have a place where we're going to have to take our 1/2 inch tab and fold it over. This is one of those places. So this is the bottom of the box. And I wouldn't wrap the complete bottom of the box at the beginning of my construction, because depending on how things are rolling, you might decide you're going to wrap this one. This is okay. So I am now going to adhere. And I left my glue without its pin. Give me a second because now it's plugged. Well, Donna, I am glad you like this project. I loved making it. The paper is stunning. The Forever Ireland paper is stunning. Maybe someday you'll be able to get some of it, because I think, Donna, you live in Canada, right? Or maybe one day you'll be able to get some shipped to you. So let's get some glue on here. For some reason, I'm a little concerned that my glue might be plugged, but we'll make it work. But you know what, Donna, you could make this with other paper too. So let's adhere this and give it a good burnish. Okay, so that was the bottom of the box. We actually fold it over. Oh, I didn't know that you could try to fight to get out of Facebook jail there, Heather. So this is that last side piece. So the one that's going to be for the back side of the box is what I'm going to call it right now. So I'm just lining it up at the 2-inch line. And then I'm going to line this up as well. Let me check. Hang on here. This is not the piece we wanted. Thank goodness I caught it. This is the 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. No, 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 no. That would be the wrong piece. We would have a big mistake on our hands. We're okay though. We caught it. Because as I was lining it up, I was looking at it. How come it's just seems to be just a little bit bigger? And I was looking over here. This is why use your scoreboard. Use the lines on the scoreboard, because that's how I caught this, because I was going, this isn't right. This is the lid. So let's get the right piece here. So it's the 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. So if I said 4 5/8, that was wrong. I don't think I did though. Okay, we caught the mistake, or I caught my mistake. Just something got out of order. Makes us human. So we're just going to add our adhesive. See, we won't have to do that when we get to that point, which is fine. Some more adhesive. Yes, good catch. That's right, Donna. I'm surprised I caught it. I'm very good at having to wing things sometimes. But you don't get flustered by it. That's why when Tammy said to me, you know, you could do your tutorials live, I hemmed and hawed for a little bit, and then I went, you know, I'm going to try it. So the first time I did it, sorry, getting tape off my hand. First time I did it, I was scared crazy. And then as I've done each one, I noticed I am calmer and calmer. And like Tammy said to me, then they get to see that we also, meaning we as the designers, also sometimes make oopses that we have to figure out a fix for. And I agree, because that's how we learn. If we have to figure out how to make the oops work, that's what this is all about. Yes, undo. Yes, I do have undo. Thanks, Nicole. From a fellow designer, that means a lot, because I sometimes sit and go, you know, are they going to like the project? Thanks, Myrna. So again, I'm using that 2-inch line as sort of what I'm lining up to. And I'm kind of going, nope, not happy with that. So I'm just going to drop it. Hopefully I didn't do too much damage. Did a little bit. So I'm just going to take, so if you notice here, thanks, Janice, that means a lot too. I lifted a little bit of my craft cardstock, so I'm just taking a little glue. So I'll just lift it up so you can see. See, when I lifted this up because I didn't like my position, I kind of tore the top layer of the artisan. So I'm just using a little art glitter glue to put it back in place. There we go. We fixed our problem. I'm going to lay this back down. So yes, I have to get all in position again, but that's okay. I just wasn't liking. Please bear with me. My head might get into this shot. I hope it doesn't. There we go. And I'm happy. There we are. All right. So that, believe it or not, is going to be, so the lid of the box is going to be over on this side. That's just what I've decided just now. And then this is the two sides and the front. So now I'm just going to set this aside for a second. And we are going to put together our lid. So that's where the piece that's 4 5/8 by 6 5/8 comes into play. And then you need that longer piece that was, let me get my paper here. It was 1 1/2 by 6 5/8. And then you had two that were 1 1/2 by 4 5/8. And the reason you make your lid that 1/8 of an inch bigger is, let me get the actual album back over here, because I've had it laying behind me open, so I was going to do what I was supposed to do. Just let me hold everything up. You want your lid that 1/8 of an inch bigger so that it fits over the bottom of the box, like so. That's why it needs to be the 1/8 of an inch bigger. Oh, Heather, I'm sorry to hear that you haven't been feeling well. Hopefully you will feel better soon. So again, we are going to do this to all of our 1 1/2 inch pieces. We are going to burnish our 1-inch tabs right up along the edge of the chipboard. So we're just going to do sort of an assembly line thing here. burnish, you know. And the last one. All right, and now we're going to just do mass production with the adhesive, because you guys know what we're doing here now. Just do all these tabs, because we're going to need all these tabs. Do the next one, and remember we're putting the adhesive on the good side of the cardstock, as I call it, not on the bad side or the raw side, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And you guys already know this side where you can see the actual chipboard. Again. And I didn't run out of dry adhesive. I was a little concerned my roll might not last, but it did, which is a good thing. You know what? That's what we need to be, Heather. When we're not feeling well, we need to be our advocate to find out what's going on. And the last one. Trim off our excess. And we're almost done. Once we have this done, and a couple of binding strips, we will have this box together. If you guys could see my floor down below me right now, I've got bits and pieces of dry adhesive all over the place. I'm going to have to take a scraping tool to my floor. There we go. And now the last one. Let's get rid of all that adhesive that's hanging over. And again. And it's just tedious. It makes a beautiful box. It is time consuming, but anything that's handmade takes time. That's what is the pleasure in making them, is that you've created this for someone and they love it. Okay, we are going to do the two short sides first. So I'm going to turn my piece like so. So I'm taking the 1.5 by 4 5/8, using that one first, and we're adhering it to one of the short sides of the top of the box. So this is the piece that measured, let me just find it here again. It measures 4 5/8 by 6 5/8. So let's remove the adhesive. Push it up in the corner. And again, just like we did with the bottom of the box, line it up, keep it angled up. Make sure we're happy, because we want to keep this square, and that's why when you use, yeah, exactly, Donna, all good projects take time. That is exactly the truth in it, isn't it? Okay, now we're going to turn to our other short side. And do exactly the same thing, only this time we got to remember we got that 1/2 inch tab, or the 1 inch tab, I should say. And we're doing exactly the same thing. Laying it down, make sure that nothing is going to be in our way. Excellent. So this is what we've got now. We've got the 2 side tabs for the top. And now we want to do the long. So this was the one that measured, the chipboard that measured 1.5 by 6 5/8. I'm reading my instructions that are over on the far side here. so. And again, this is a little trickier because this one doesn't do it like that. Hold it up. And again, we're just lining it up. Are we happy with that? I think I am. No, I'm not. Let's see. Okay, so this is where undo is going to be my friend. I need it to line this up just a little different. I feel like I'm too far over. So see, I ended up putting it over my side wing, so it's going to impede. So I'm just using a bit of undo. It is my friend. And that is one advantage. Mind you, with the liquid glue, you would have had a few more seconds to have caught that. Give it a quick yank. Yes, I know. And every time I do that, Heather, I usually end up damaging something beyond repair. So just give this a second to dry. It won't take very long. And we're almost done. Wave it in the wind. Let's try this one more time. So just want to make sure that I have, so if my head gets in the way, I'm going to apologize now. I'm actually going to push it down here to the 2-inch because this is what's getting in my way and I'm not being able to get it right to the corner. I'm happy with that. I think I'm happy with that. Yes, I am happy with that. So yes, you could give it a yank. I tend to go to my undo. I know some of my fellow designers just yank, and that's okay. It's okay to do what works best for each person. So now here is where we're attaching the top of our box to the bottom of our box. And we're going to attach it with this last 1/2 inch tab. But the thing to remember is the top of our box is 1/8 of an inch bigger than the bottom of our box. So we have to do some lining up here. We might have to miter a little bit more. This is where you just have to do some trial and error. So I have pushed the top of my box right up to the top of the scoreboard. Yank and swear. Yes, Jennifer, that would be what would happen. And I didn't think that anybody would want to hear me do that. So I am just going to miter a little bit more because I'm seeing some hangover. This again is all about your comfort level. So again, I'm just pushing it up to the top. What I'm going to do is do something like that. Then I'm going to line this up, keeping in mind that the lid of my box is 1/8 of an inch bigger, so I'm going to have like a 1/16 on either side. I think I'm actually going to turn it and work from this side. I think I'll be happier. And it doesn't matter which one of these two sides you attach this to, as long as you're attaching it to one of the 6.5 inch sides, not the 4.5 inch side. Put the lid back on that glue for a second, so when I finally want it, it will still work. So there's that. I'm going to be very happy with that. So let's remove our adhesive. Push everything up so that nothing's going to shift as we're laying it down. You know what, Jen? I have cried before I had undo. Yeah, I have cried. Undo is very hard to find. There's only a couple of places I know that I can get it from. So I'm just lining it up, leaving sort of 1/8 of an inch on or 1/16 of an inch on either side of the bottom of my box, and then just laying it down like so. So believe it or not, this is we're going to have a box here in about 2 seconds. So this is where we're headed with it. Okay, so just let me just see. And I'm just dry fitting it to make sure I'm going to be happy. They do sell it by the gallon. Really, Jan? Seriously? I didn't even know they sold that stuff by the gallon. That would be a lot of undo. I wonder if it would evaporate before you used it all, because it is like lighter fluid or something crazy like this. So I need 2 binding strips for the project. Where's my second one? There were 2 when I cut them last night. There it is, still laying in my container. So I cut 2 binding strips that measured 1.5 by 2, and then I scored them at 1. So I did create 2 binding strips. So I'm just going to bring my box back in. Get rid of that, whatever it is. I think it's a piece of adhesive. So I'm just going to stand up my short sides. And really all I want to do is just line them up like so. Just so they square to each other. I don't know. Let me try this way. So just so they're butting up to each other like so. I'm going to burnish my binding strips. My goodness, there is a little star from a shaker card I made. Wow, and I thought I cleaned off my desk. And we're going to do a dry fit first, because if they're too tall, I want to cut them before I adhere them. And see, I don't know if you guys can see this little star. It's clear. I don't know if you're going to see that. But I don't know where it came from. And it doesn't want, it's got static attached to it. There, it's gone now. So I'm going to add some and just attach it. Just going to the edge of the chipboard that we covered in the cardstock. I'm going to stand it up and see if I'm still going to be happy. Yes, I'm still going to be happy. It's not. I'm going to double check that it wasn't hanging over. You know, it is a little bit. So, see, that's where the liquid glue is handy. I'm just going to give it a slight trim. All right. And we're going to add more adhesive to the back of this. And try this one more time. And if it won't work this time, I'm going to have to cut a brand new binding strip. Probably should have made a few extra. I will make it work. We'll trim it if we have to. Give it a good burnish. Can't see your comments right now. If you're ready for a nap, Heather, soon. We're almost done. Just going to stand it up. No, I can't. Well, that's not hanging over, so let's do this side of it. And you could use dry adhesive to do this. I'm using, no, a second here. There we go. Just want to be able to burnish it. Just hold it in position. And then very carefully take your box, put it on its side. And hopefully if I move this back, you can see what I'm doing. This is the tricky part, because you want to make sure that it's adhered. So So I'm going to use my clips for a second. This is where Tammy would use her pegs for clothes pegs for hanging your laundry out. Just let that sit for a second and it's here. I think I'm good. And I always like to stand it up, create my box again, to make sure. And this is another place where you can hold it. I think I got those at like a Dollar Tree. My clips. There we go. That's that side. And we might need to put a little bit more adhesive in there, depending. So. And then we're going to, I think I need a little bit more glue there. Put the peg right there. There we go. And then let's do the other side. So we're going to do a little dry fit here. And a dry fit there. We should be fine on this one. You could, Jan. I just didn't want that look. And I'll show you on the box in just a second. So I'm laying my tab down. Let me move this back up so you can see it. I'm laying my tab down so that the score line is at the edge of the outside edge of the side of the lid, or the top of the lid. Let's give this a good burnish. Like so. And then let's add the adhesive. Line them up. So now I want to stand it up and give this a good burnish. I know it's going to be hard to see. It's kind of a little wonky at this point in time. Give it a bit of clip. Just let that hold for a second. Now, the other thing you can do, and I will probably do this next week, is you could take 1-inch binding strips and put it along these edges. It just depends on how much it is going to bug you if you're seeing that raw edge when you put down your pattern paper. That would be the only reason I would do that, because the other thing you're going to end up with is you got to watch that you don't end up with too much bulk. Hello from Sweden. So glad you could join us. Now, I'm not going to say your name right. I know I'm not. Tanya, I wish you could say the name in my ear. Is it Leela? Please excuse my terrible pronunciation. So then all that happens is, there you go. There's your box. Finished. And then, of course, we'll put our hinges are going to go on this part of the box. So actually, we'd have the box sitting this way. So let's move some stuff out of our way. So the hinges are going to go here, and we'll make those next week on Friday. Just don't know the time yet. I wouldn't say that, Jen, that the inside of this box is perfection. So the reason, so just let me get my box closed. And I'll just show you guys a little trick. If the front of this box is pushed in, it is going to push out the sides of the box, and then the lid is not going to want to fit nicely. So you just kind of got to line it up, and then the lid fits perfect. Now, the reason I didn't put my binding strips on the outside is I wanted to make sure, let me get this side out where it needs to be. It takes a little bit of working it. I wanted all of the edges of my box to look the same. So I wanted this look where you could see the two pieces of chipboard coming together, and the same here. Like I didn't want to put a binding strip here on the outside because then that's going to change the look of my box, and that wasn't what I was going for. But if that doesn't bother you, go ahead and put the binding strips on the outside. I was going for, I wanted to see my two pieces of chipboard come together. So, and there it is. So we made this box in 1 hour and 41 minutes with all the talking we were doing. I am so sorry we talked so long. So that's as far as I'm going to take it today. I hope you've enjoyed the start, or part 1 of the album in a box. And I'm going to do part 2 live next Friday. I'm thinking that 1 Mountain Standard Time or Mountain Daylight Time, because that's where they are now. And we'll do the hinges. We'll put the 7 pages in, and we'll do the flips and flaps. I will post midweek the cutting guide for that section of it. And we'll move on from there. So I hope everybody enjoyed today. Thank you all for sticking with me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their Saturday and Sunday. And hopefully in your part of the world, there's sunshine and you can get out and enjoy some of it. So until next time, I'm going to say goodbye for now and have a great day. Take care.